Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Business Minds podcast. Today, we're talking to motivational and personal development coach, Miss LT Hunt. Let's get into it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm actually glad to be able to have the conversation that we started, of it, because it was, we were into some really good things. So I'm glad to be able to do it.
Okay, cool. Well, I do want to welcome you to the new podcast studio that we set up just for conversations like this. And it's an honor for you to be the first guest.
It's nice. You will have a nice setup, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you. Appreciate that. So let's get into who you are and how you serve.
Yeah. So, I will say this. So some people would view like the journey. I started in fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I was a buyer, worked with international clients, all of those things. And then I transitioned into education and was able to do things at a big district level. And I say that because I would be giving or doing a disservice if I only gave that part of the story and how big and grand it sounds, and now being able to do motivational speaking and personal development. But there is a struggle, and there is another caveat to how it begins and how you begin to get to that process. So for me, I came from a clinically depressed mother and a father who was in and out of jail. And so they were married. Obviously, at this point, they got divorced. I was super, super young. And then after that, she married my stepdad, who then she found out was a drug addict. So this is the process of what I'm going through. So it's kind of from trauma to trauma in a way. So it's not only mine, but it's also obviously your parents and your families. And so this is the mentality that I'm given or living with in order to maintain, in order to survive, quote unquote, and in order to move forward and grow. And so I give that because this is the process that you look at, and this is the mentality that you have when you're going through it. And I'm not mad at it at all, because it actually allowed me to develop, I will say, a hyper independence, but almost to a fault. But it also gave me an independence that allowed me to see beyond where I was. And I will honestly say it's probably the grace of God, because it's very hard to be in a situation, but yet see a vision outside of.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So that's where it began, and that's where it started.
So when you're talking to a client, right? And so walk me through that process of them discovering everything that you said. Is it them coming to you and they have a hump they want to get over, and then you're kind of bringing that out, or what does that process look like?
So usually I have to, what I do is I talk to them and ask them where they are. So you have to know exactly where a person is in order to help them do anything. Why are you laughing?
Oh, because look, there's on the wall. Do you see our little?
What does it say?
Oh no, it says, "Where are you? Where do you want to be? And what are you willing to
I didn't even read
change?"
that.
Yeah,
I didn't even.
I mean
read
that's
that
amazing.
coincides perfectly.
Yes, I love
That's
it.
perfect.
Okay, cool. So you figure out where they are currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example of one person that I have been assisting and helping. It is a young lady who actually works in corporate, this very, very big Fortune 500 company. So I like helping transitional leaders. So these are people who are in transition to become leaders in their corporate environments or in their departments that they're working in.
Okay.
And that they're a lot more pliable, to be honest. When you get people who have been in leadership positions for a long time, it's a bit more difficult to help break patterns and help develop in that way, just because you've been doing something for so long. And that's just people in general. So with her, I just really asked her questions about where she is. And what I've noticed in a lot of people is they don't have confidence in who they are and their ability and their purpose and what they're doing. So for her, she was attempting to the environment that she was in. And so when we have the conversations, I'm giving her insights on how to conform or transform the environment that you're in. and
Okay.
allow it to
Yeah. So she doesn't
okay.
lose herself
Exactly.
in the process and become more of a follower. You just need to stay who you are.
Exactly.
Oh, that's tight.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in those things, I don't think people realize sometimes that who you are, like you're where you are and you're supposed to be who you are in the environment that you're in. People love authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to be genuine. And it doesn't matter who you are in that way, but people even more respect someone who has, let's say they're not the nicest person, but I know what I'm getting.
Yes.
I know what I'm dealing with. I know when I come to them, they're going to act like this, they're going to sound like this, they're going to be like this, but that's who they are. And so if you can take that purpose and your ability and actually maneuver it to be kind and to care and to understand and try to make sure that you are actually growing within the field that you're in the most successful and fulfilling way that you can do it, then that makes a difference in what you're.
Wow. Is this a process that you mapped out and that has certain stages, is it, or are you meeting people exactly where they're at and then your process kind of molds to them?
It okay, so what I've learned is there's a few different stages. So it goes from someone trying to understand what their purpose is to someone who is already within their purpose, but they're wanting to
Okay.
scale it.
Okay.
So, and then it's everything in between. So I just kind of gauge where they are in that process, and then we're able to work from that in order to actually fulfill and make sense for what you're doing. Because I don't want to do a one size fits all, because one size does not fit
That's
all.
true. That's true.
So you actually have to make sure that you know.
That is so true. We tried that one size fit all in the beginning, and it was detrimental because you're trying to fit people in a box, and then when it's not working for everybody, you're like, "Why isn't this working?" You say, "Oh, we have to change in order to help them and mold to them." So we became really good listeners, and that really changed the game for us. Listening to people because they kind of know what they want, or they kind of know where they want to go. It's just some mental blocks or some things that are challenging them sometimes, and that's what we were here for, to help them with their business as far as changing that. That's good, man. And when you say personal development, are you also helping them maybe like with like a morning routine and
What that looks like.
yeah, like reading habits and like what kind of exactly?
So, one of the questions, because I do a pre-assessment.
Okay, cool.
So one of the questions that I ask is, how important is your spiritual journey
Mm,
and where you are now, or do you have one, or what does that look like? And majority of the time, people have something that they believe in or they hope in. And so it's more so seeing where your hope lies and where your beliefs are. And so that in itself is a development. So I develop a plan based on where you are in that walk, because we can do all these things, which is why I don't say professional development and
mm-mm.
personal instead. Because,
Okay.
yes, because professional development, I can teach you a skill and I can make sure that you understand what this looks like and understand how to maneuver through this avenue of whatever it is at work. But it's different when you have an understanding of who you are personally. So once you have that understanding of who you are, and then be able to build internally from that, you are you like thinking?
No. It's this is cool. You're making a lot of sense. And I didn't even realize the personal and professional.
Oh, yeah.
And so, no, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I enjoy your,
No.
like, your expressions and your faces. I'm like, "Okay, good." It's like I see, like, a light
Yes.
bulb when you're looking, so it actually, helps me be like, "Oh, okay, then this makes sense." And
Yes.
that's what I wanna make sure is that what I'm saying translates. And just seeing your face and seeing, like, how you're looking when I'm saying it makes me be like, "Okay, it's translating."
I, a horrible poker face. Like
Oh, okay.
I would not be good at
Then I
poker.
poker.
I don't know how to play.
Oh,
We
well,
play
that's
some
even
bones though. I play some dominoes.
I'm
Um,
really good at that.
but no. You are making a lot of sense, and it seems like exactly what you said is not a one size fits all. And nowadays, I believe that a lot of people, not just entrepreneurs, but people in general, want everything to be like a quicker fix.
Mhm.
And
It's
when
not
you
like that.
no, yes, you're exactly right. And you won't really get what you really in-depthly need. In-depthly, I made a in-depth need, what you really need, you're going to get something on the surface
Yeah.
and then you're going to be disappointed. So I really respect that because I know that takes a lot more effort than just if you just try to put them in a box. Wow. And have you so let's back up just a little bit And when was your turning point to where you realized that you had a choice? You didn't have to repeat the same things that were going on. And then second part, you turned that into helping other people. Like, what do those 2 points look like?
Oh, okay. So that's a story that I'm gonna try to condense.
Okay.
So, I'll start with the fashion
Okay.
industry, right? Because that's where it began. So when I started, I did not know anyone. I just knew that I had a goal. And let me start by saying this too. So, one of the things that, and this happened later on in life, I actually watched a TED talk by a lady named Angela Lee Duckworth.
Okay.
And she was talking about her and her team had gone out because they wanted to see what made people successful,
Mm-hmm.
what made people have longevity, and what was that factor that caused people to be able to be the most successful people. And so she looked and she said that they were researching. They went to West Point, they went to all of these universities, they did all of these things. And she was like, it wasn't their intellect, it wasn't their IQ, it wasn't anything being able to socially conform, it wasn't any of those things. It's such a simplistic thing, but it's actually much more difficult, but it was being able to have grit. So that is the perseverance and
Mm-hmm.
persistence for long-term goals. And so later on in life, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's what I did. And I didn't know that that's what I did
Mm-hmm.
initially. So when I started in the fashion industry, I had a goal in my head. Ultimately, I wanted to be a buyer of fashion. That's what I knew. I know nobody. I didn't have any formal education. I have formal training. I have anything. And so what I said is, where can I start to where I can gain all of these things? And I knew in my head already, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to do this for free. I'm gonna have to go ahead and just work and get the experience and get the talent and get the skills behind what I want to do. And so I reached out to, I like Googled and found some people that were doing, they needed a fashion coordinator for one of their shows. And so I called, I was like, hey, like, and it was just like, oh yeah, come on, like who does that? But whatever. And so I went and I was sitting on the committee that they had for, and it was the very, very first meeting. And so they had this meeting and everybody's going around the table, like doing this, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do that. And they looked at me and they're like, so, what can you help with? And I was like, I can help get some businesses and, get some clothes. Because one thing I knew my gifts. So, and that's where I started. I knew that I had the gift of relationship. Like I was a great relationship builder. And I knew that I don't talk a lot, but if I talk, I'm talking about something. And so I could get you if I could just talk to you. And so I was like, so I can talk to some companies. So I go and I talk to department stores, all these department stores, and I talk to all these business owners, small, local, big, all of them. And then out of majority of the ones that I talked to, probably 90% of them became one of
Mm.
the people that supplied their clothing for it. Again, I don't know what I'm doing now. I just know I got some clothes now. I have no idea. And so I'm like, okay. And then so we have the casting call. Again, never done any of this. So I'm just soaking up all this
Yeah.
information, getting everything that I can in this process with people who know. And then we also had a designer on there who would put her pieces in the show as well. And so I'm listening to her and I'm looking at all this stuff. So I'm like a sponge. I'm just soaking it in. And so we ultimately have the show. And every single piece, except for the designer's pieces, were the pieces that I actually went and got from stores and department stores, every single one of them. And so I was like, huh, okay, I might be doing something. And then so after that, I ended up getting a call or a few calls from other people. That designer that I actually worked with began to recommend me
Mm.
to other people. And so when she recommended me, people were like, hey, can you do this show? Can you work with this? And so that's how it began to catapult. And this is just from the idea of wanting to be a buyer in the fashion industry and how do I begin?
That man, we have so much synergy. I always tell entrepreneurs whenever they want to start something or they're going through a hard time, do we, stay long term, right? And most of the time I say 80% like not giving up. But I guess I was saying grit.
Yeah,
And then 20% you can learn, but you got to realize that you can learn that.
exactly.
Because a lot of people have this fixed mindset that they were growing up in a poor household, destined to be poor, or my parents didn't have an education, or whatever it is, and then they forget that they can learn. That's why I said, what choice? When did you make those choices? And man, I love how you said that you just went with the flow, but picking up stuff as you go. I wasn't there, of course, but I bet they didn't even know.
No, I didn't. I didn't know what I was doing. The people did not know. They had
They,
no clue. They were like, "Oh, she's amazing,"
uh,
and I'm like, oh, "I am."
yeah,
You
I
just
love the
gotta believe in
confidence.
yourself,
Yes, you
like for
do.
real. And then I like what you said about like for me, I learned that you're not gonna know everything.
No.
If and especially in entrepreneurship, I say you go with 70% of what you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you know 70%, just get the 30 as you go. If I get 70, like I'm fine and I will keep pushing. But yeah, so that's how that began the process of that. And then so this was, and this is why I say this was literally a 7-year term.
Okay.
It's 7 years. And so by the time the 7 years hit is when I, because of the experience, not because I got any formal like education, but I got experience throughout the journey.
Real world.
Exactly. Began to work with designers, began to work with all of these people. And then so I was like, well, let me apply for like this position now. And so it was just below a buyer's position. And I was like, let me start here. Okay.
Almost there.
Almost there. So, and I'm like, let's start here. And so it's a very prominent like production company that does big things with like fashion and merchandising and all of those things. Like it's an international one. So I applied for it. And I'm from Oklahoma City. So I'm initially doing all this in Oklahoma City on top of that, which is wild in itself that we even had that industry going in Oklahoma City.
Isn't that a big market?
For fashion in Oklahoma City, it was at that time. That's why I'm like, that was God's sign.
Yeah.
Because there's no way I should have been able to do all of that stuff in Oklahoma City. And then BMW Fashion Week developed from that as well in Oklahoma City. They don't do it anymore. But all of that time frame was during that time. Then so I applied for this company. It was in Florida and I ended up getting it. So I was in Florida and worked there, and then ultimately was able to do buying a 7-year time frame. So that's the journey, and that's real time. What it looks like, it's never quick, especially when you want something that you envision or that you dream of or that you want. And so that's what that point looked like. So to answer your question about that, that's where the mindset began, and me not even realizing that that's what I was doing.
You know, when I initially asked that, I was thinking like a turning point, not a turning point, like an aha moment. But you gave me more, because I always tell entrepreneurs, like whenever you're starting something or you want to grow something, you have to have a plan. You got to have grit to where you want to stay with it for a long time. Don't believe the hype, what you see all the time when you're comparing yourself in these quick little get rich quick schemes. You literally told me the whole journey, and it took 7 years. That is breath of fresh air to be talking to somebody that is not just about something quick, and you're really willing to map it out, go through the process.
Yeah.
And you had a goal to stay on. That was really a lot better than what I was
good.
asking. Yeah. Thought you were going to say one day. No, but he didn't. And that whole 7 years, you eventually started getting paid.
Oh, you're concerned. No. Yes, no, I started getting paid, but because I think it was after probably 3 though. Probably a good 3 years of me doing that. But
that is such a that's a hustle.
Yeah, for sure. To be clear, like I had to work other things.
Yes, of course.
So I was doing this work. And then I was able to actually, after that time frame, work with a designer actually on Project Runway. And so that's when I started the ability to get paid at that point. And then that's when I began to get recognition in that way, to where people be like, oh, okay, so you've actually done something. And then when you can put those things, on your resume and be able to say, hey, this is what I've been able to achieve. And this is literally based on just having a dream and a vision of where I want it to be and what I want it to do. It's just, that's kind of slept on, because it's like, I didn't have a dream and a vision, but I feel like some people get so stagnant because it looks too big.
Yes.
It's like, just make it smaller, just condense it. You felt that, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, just take it one step at a time. And that's the long-term journey, though, is that because like to coincide with what you said, sometimes people want it really quick and they
Yes.
want it to like come now. But if you have that mentality, you lose hope. And you have to be careful when you have that mentality, because if you lose your hope, then you lose your perspective and you lose that dream that you had.
Man, yes. I had a couple of things I want to say, but one of the things that I do want to say that you did over time increase your value
Mm,
to where
yeah.
people could actually see it. Now, you knew it in the beginning. You knew what you could bring, but sometimes we have to increase our value. After a while, they started looking like, okay, I can see the value
Yeah.
in what you bring.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
exactly. And even in that, that's where it has to start. And that's why I even tell people it doesn't matter what other people see or what they think right now. What do you think about yourself?
Hmm.
Because they'll eventually see it.
Yes.
But even like your family, even those close to you, right?
Uh,
You have to be cautious, because they may not even see the dream or the vision or the things that you see within yourself. And that's why you do have to hold those things close to you as well. Because sometimes you can't even tell the people who are closest to you, because you don't want to lose the vision that you have for yourself.
Ooh, and and a lot of times I had to realize it, when I was coming up,
Mm,
I had to realize that maybe that was just for me to see. You know what I mean? In
yeah.
that instance, that was for me to see, because every time you do, because you're excited, man, I want to do this. And some people who, even the ones closest to you, who you want to actually do the vision and help them,
Yes.
they can't see that. And you will, I did get discouraged, did get discouraged.
It will deflate your balloon.
Yes, it
For sure.
will. And shoot you down faster than anybody else. It's because you're expecting your enemies to do that, or people who don't want to see you succeed. But the ones you love, it's like, man, like what's going on? But then I had to forgive and move on. So look,
Process
yeah,
that you're having to go through too in the journey when you're wanting to accomplish something that people haven't seen
yeah.
or haven't been around. So that's what I have to keep in mind, is that you can't rely on someone to give you something they haven't had or something they haven't done.
Mm-hmm.
You sometimes just have to be the first to show, and then to be able to encourage others along the way. And that comes with not being able to share sometimes the deepest things that you have, the boldest things that you want to do with the closest people to you. And that's okay. And
Yes.
that's how it has to be sometimes, in order for you to be successful, in order for you to grow, and for you to be, honestly, to keep your heart sound, to keep your heart pure as well, because that can really hurt your heart when you go through those type of things too. So you have to be careful.
Well, and I had a lot of animosity towards a lot of people that I had to let go. And it came to the conclusion exactly what you just said. I had to realize, Chris, what do you want? And the more you're putting energy over here, you're getting away from putting that energy in what you want. So you got to let that go
That's true.
and move forward.
That's a good way to see it.
Man, yeah, I'm getting personal developed, huh?
Good.
No, this is cool. So when did this turn into something you wanted to do to help people in this is profession?
Great question. Okay, so in order to answer that, I
Okay,
have
cool.
to go through the process of how I got into education.
Okay.
So when I was in the fashion industry and I accomplished the things that I wanted to accomplish, that's the part you got to be careful about too. Because when you get to the point to where you're like, this is where I wanted to be, and then you get there and you're like, oh, it doesn't look like what you thought it
Mm,
was going to look like. So did that, and I was like, this is not fulfilling. It's very vain. It's a lot of vainglory. It's a lot of God complexes. It's a lot going on. And I'm like, this is not the life that I want to live. And so, again, I'm in Florida, so I moved back to Oklahoma City at this point. And I'm like, this is how I know, because I was like, oh, it's nothing here anymore. All the stuff was gone, no fashion, no nothing. And I'm like, okay, so I can't do fashion here anymore. What can I do? And so I was like, okay, well, I could do something in education. I was like, everybody got to go through the educational system, education process. So that will always be something. And I was like, and then I want to be able to help people, and I want to be able to like talk to people and do all of those things. And so I was like, but I never taught nobody nothing. So let me do the things I know how to do and do administrative or business type work. And so I go to the school district and for the interview. And so I'm talking, and the superintendent happens to come in there. And then so we're talking, and at the end of the conversation, she's like, you need to be a teacher.
mm,
And I said, okay, hired on the spot, literally. That was like June or July, and then I went to the professional development that they had a few weeks later to become a teacher. And so, at that point, I'm in the classroom, I'm teaching kids. It's great. I feel great. It's hard work, by the way, though.
Oh my gosh, yes. Underappreciated too.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
Teachers need to be making six figures
Yes.
or higher.
Yes.
Easy, like
I
easy.
yes, and you have to have a passion every day. You gotta come in during the summer. It's the summertime, but the teachers still have to work sometimes. So,
Yep. No, you're not
um,
wrong.
but yeah.
No, you're fine. So I'm doing that, and then I realized I'm like, yeah, I wanna make significant change,
Mhm.
pivotal change, and I can't do it in the classroom because everything is coming from the top, basically, and when it trickles down, you just have to follow suit. You can't change up, you can't do anything different, you have to make sure that you're abiding by exactly what's instructed and the policies that are put in place, primarily from people who have never worked in a classroom
Oh,
before
don't
as
get me
well.
started. Yes.
So you know.
Yes.
So I begin to like journey in my head now. Now I'm back to my journey mode. Like, okay, how do I get here? How do I do this? What is this going to look like? I want to be able to work at the district level and be able to change things significantly and cause um, growth and success in other
Mhm.
people too. So what does that look like? So I began to look, and then I ended up getting called back, and that's how I actually ended up in Dallas. So I got called to be a buyer at one point for this because I already did buying before, and then I got called back to do a pilot program that has never been done in any district that we know of at this point, and at least in Dallas, to create events specifically for district wide for students. So then I came in and I had to literally, from scratch, build this program up for students to be able to go to everything from carnivals to festivals to spoken words to tech expos to all of these big events. We then had to be able to create and I had to develop.
Mm,
And so I was able to do that. And when I tell you, that was so, so, so fulfilling
I bet.
being able to talk to the kids, being able to do that. And then we began to add other programs. So that's how I began to get into more of the leadership development aspect as well. And also speaking and doing all of those things through this and being able to do things outside of this now that I've been able to develop relationships from this. And so that was my journey all in Dallas. And so it was phenomenal, like phenomenal. And then people started asking me like, why aren't you doing this yourself? So that's how we got here.
Oh man, and you hit the nail on the head too when you said fulfilling with helping these kids, because one of the things you never know what those kids have to deal
Mm,
with at home. Like,
absolutely.
kids are very, resilient in the fact that when they're around you, they could be, now they sometimes they'll show, kinda like they're sad or something like that, but most of the time they're running around playing and happy, you know what I'm saying? And then their home life isn't where it is, and then for them to come to events that you made for specific for them to grow, there's some lot of branches and a lot of trees that you planted. Yeah,
That makes
so
sense. And just thinking about that, when we did the spoken word event and put that on the first annual, I think it was a couple of years ago. When I tell you the expressions and the word poetry that the kids were saying,
oh,
and the things that you would never have known had they not been able to have a platform to be able
mhm,
to get up there and to speak. And when I tell you that was probably the one that they talked about and continue to talk about to this day, because they feel like a lot of times that they don't have a voice and that people aren't really seeing or hearing
mhm,
them. And their biggest thing is being able to be seen and being able to be heard. And that's what I did learn from teaching is being able to give kids a safe space like when I'm supposed to be on my lunch or when I'm taking my time or my little hour or whatnot, but still allowing kids to come in and just be because sometimes they just want to sit.
mhm.
Sometimes they just want to be in someone's presence that is peaceful and that they trust and that they care.
I 100% agree. Oh, that is powerful. I love kids. Like I love the little kids. So you transitioned from the kids to opening up creative impact.
Yeah, because from that, through my journey even in that I was able to work with a lot of leaders and begin to help leaders transition
Oh,
into like being directors, being managers, and all of those things. And so they were like, "You're really good at this," and I was like, "Thank you." And they're like, "Have you thought about doing this?" I just happened. I was like, "No, I really haven't, but it's something that I've just done on a regular basis." But that's the thing where you don't see something sometimes until somebody says, "Do you see
Oh,
this?"
yes.
And I was like, "Oh yeah." And so even from that, just being able to build it within still doing that work, but being able to build what I'm doing now. So yeah, and still like doing the speaking and encouraging people. So being able to give them like practical like steps, you can only do so much when you speak for 45 minutes, but being able to give them practical steps within that. And so with that, we're even developing a booklet for people to be able to purchase so that they can see the steps that they can take.
Okay, yeah. You're giving them something that they can take home and use right now to make a difference right now as soon as they leave or even while they're there. I'm all about practical, simple. Our brand is pretty straightforward and simple, and then we leave easy and hard up to
Yeah.
you. There's a simple way to do it. If you want to make it harder, then it's up to you. We align with a lot of things. So with Creative Impact, when did you open?
Okay.
And then yeah,
What is
just yeah,
okay.
just
So um uh the kind of the vision began last November.
okay.
So last November, and then officially got like the LLC and all the things that you need in February. And so this is me then still working,
Mhm.
regular 9 to 5 and still building this and try it's mainly like a lot of networking though. So building connections, building relationships, speaking with people, trying to like get that going and get
Mhm.
that flowing. And so this is February of this year. And then so by the time September hit, or I would say probably July, I was like, I gotta pick. I gotta make a choice. Either I can keep trying to do this and struggling with the business aspect, and because that's just gonna struggle. Like I can't not do the work that I'm doing and not put all my effort into it. The only thing that would I could probably take a little bit from that would be myself, honestly. And so when July hit, I was like, you get the school year's beginning. I've already like developed, created, did all of the layouts and plans for all of the events because we had to schedule, create all of the events and have them done from August to May. So
Mhm.
all of that. So I made sure all of that was in order because I was like, I'm gonna have to go ahead and that. I'm gonna leave them dry. I was gonna leave you right.
Uh,
And so did all of those things and put all of this stuff in order. And then I was like, yeah, I just have a vision
yes, 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 yes.
to step out.
That is so powerful. And you've just been networking, growing your network, getting those connections. That's one of the things that if I could go back, I don't regret anything, but if I could go back, that's one I would put a few more eggs in that basket to
Yeah.
where I would grow and I brush shoulders with a lot of people, but I feel like with just your personality and what you're talking about, you make really meaningful connections to where uh, you're actually can meet somebody and almost see, oh, they would connect with this person good. See, I was not. I wasn't
Yeah.
focused on that. So you're
What
on
were
the
you focused on when you began?
I was focused on your need to help you just build your foundation for your business.
Okay.
And well, let's even take that a little bit back. I was even focused on maybe just giving you a nice website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just
Okay.
just giving you a nice website that with small business owners that gave them a bigger feel. I mean, we wanted you to look good, but we didn't realize that sometimes we would set people up for failure because they would look good and then their back end was not there.
Neat.
Well, for example, we had a client who only sold used cash cars.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then when we came to him, he saw some of our work we did with one of his buddies, and when we were working on his brand, his website, and everything, he wanted Ferraris everywhere.
Oh,
He wanted Ferraris. He wanted all these expensive cars. And at the first time we made it, we made him his website, we made his business card, put all these exotic cars on there. And I don't even know what we were thinking. We were just going along with what the client wanted, right? And then one day it dawned on me, it's like, man, what if somebody sees that Ferrari and comes to your a cash car place? That's gonna be bad for your brand
yeah.
versus like you can sell cash cars now and then work your way up to selling Ferraris. Now, that may take a while, but you would be more true to yourself and then true to your clients.
Yeah, it's an honest representation of who you
Yeah.
are.
And so in the beginning, that was what I was worried about. And we did such good work that, that we getting so much word of mouth and that I just didn't see the need to go out and be intentional about networking. So you're being intentional about it. I was being intentional about being good at my, mastering my craft,
Yeah.
which you can, you can be excellent at your craft and there's still going to be people that don't, oh, that's not that tight, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you can actually set yourself up for failure for that too. But I just wasn't worried about that. I was worried about making people look good. But then when that dawned on me and I went back and I tried to say, hey, what if we switched up your brand? Because I don't want to set you up for failure like that. We'll even do it for free. But that taught me, Chris, you need to meet people where they're at, meet them where they're at and give them what they need. And so it changed. I was so focused on that. We didn't go out and network like we were supposed to. So
Networking is really big now, though. Like, I don't know if it always was. This could just be my own bias now, but I don't remember it being this significant, not significant, but I don't remember there always being like an event or there always being something to go to. Network.
oh, I'll give you that. Yes, it has
Okay.
changed.
Oh,
And then even like, some of those networking events like BNI or, what is the name? But
yeah.
there's big corporations that just put on these networks.
I know like Deck does.
It's like one of the biggest. What did you say? Deck?
Yeah, it's DEC.
DEC, is that in South Dallas? I think I've heard of that. It's for small businesses. It's like geared only towards small
Yeah.
business. So I like what they're doing. We follow them and we saw them at a couple of events. Wow, what was that business? I forgot the name of it. So anyway, they had a business model where you buy like a franchise. Let's say I bought the Mesquite franchise. So I would be the only one in that company that would allow it to have my networking event here. And they would give me like all the schedule, the things we teach people. So now networking is a business model.
It is.
And then people would have to pay to join it. And then, but it was so structured that a lot of the times we went to a couple of free ones because you get like 2 free ones. When you get on the one-on-ones, they tell you what it really is.
I appreciate
Hey,
that.
Chris, don't join this because the pressure to pass referrals. And so you get into some of the networking events and there's so pressure and so referrals that you don't make meaningful connections. Because in my sense, if I get to know you, I'm going to automatically want to help you succeed.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to naturally, organically pass you referrals.
Yeah.
But if I'm forced to do it and then I have a quota every meeting, and yeah, they have a quota every meeting. So I might start just to meet my quota, just pass you a lot of fake people. And then when you say, hey, I called so-and-so, oh, they may not be, you know what I'm saying? It can bring intense. But what you're talking about is more intentional at really making connections. This is more like it was a business model. Back then, that was one of the main things that was going on. What is the name of it though? Maybe I shouldn't say the name.
Maybe you should. Based on what you just gave and the information.
And people watching, they kind of know. Man, I forgot the name of it. But anyway, so with your networking, when you go networking right now,
For sure.
you're being intentional about what? What type of thing?
Let me say this. I am intentional, but I don't force it.
Okay.
So, one thing that I've learned is when you show yourself friendly, then people will automatically gravitate to you. So, one thing that I learned, because I did go to one of the deck events, I'm pretty sure it's second, not DC, but anyway. So I went to one.
And I agreed with you.
It was a good event. So I went to the event, and one thing I noticed is that they have cultivated an environment of organic networking.
Okay.
So, which is why I like those type of events. I'm a good relationship builder, but I'm so awkward at first, but which you may not notice.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'm really like, I'm not the person that comes up to people and it's like, hey, so how are you? All a bit, I may walk, and then if I get a smile and you get a smile, then I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" And then we begin at that point. But it's real natural, it's real organic, but at the same time, it's like you being in the environment and you being open to the
Hmm.
environment. You can't go sit in the corner and eat your cheese and cracker and not walk around a little bit or look at people and kind of see. That's literally all it is when I'm doing those things. It's just kind of being intentional about what space that I'm into.
Okay.
And then that allows people, and sometimes, and I go with the person. I enjoy going with someone else because I have a lot of people, so, like, I'll go with them, and being able to have someone with you also helps your confidence a little bit, because if you go somewhere by yourself, you are a little bit more, timid.
Yeah.
But having someone with you, and then they may start a conversation with someone, and then hear the 3 of you having this conversation, or you might start a conversation, and it may be in relation to what your friend is doing as well. So it's those type of things. So that's the way that I try to do the network, is I like to bring people with me because I don't just think about myself either when I'm networking. Every time I'm networking, I'm thinking about like the people around me and what they have going on too, and how I could connect them. And sometimes it's for you, and sometimes it's for other people. And ultimately, all in all, that is kind of the mantra for what I do. It's just really purpose driven, and it may not be specifically for my own personal purpose.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And that's kind of what I meant with the intentionality. You're not just going in there for your own self purpose.
Yeah,
You're going out there to serve in any way I can be a tool to serve. That's what I want to do.
for sure.
Um, okay. What else do we got? No, but this has been really fun.
No, it's been
This
good.
has been good. Let's talk about one more thing before you go.
Sure.
What does your next year look like?
Whew. So it's a lot of things like in development when it comes to the next year. So it's more speaking, more tools as far as like resources and being able to put those out for people.
Mm-hmm.
More guests like podcasts and things like that. It's so funny. I feel like you and I had this conversation too, but when I think you were like, have you thought about doing a podcast or something like that? Somebody else asked me that recently too. And
You have that personality.
oh, do I?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So somebody else asked me that, and then I was like, I've heard that like just recently too. And so we could see what that looks like as
Mm-hmm.
well. So just really growing like in conferences sessions and doing those things as well. So that is like a year of work, and becoming um more visible as well, and more things that I'm doing too. So that's extremely important.
Okay. I'm glad that you have some insight on that next year. That's good. So how can people get in touch with you? What does that look like?
Yeah.
What can they expect?
So, on social media is Creative Impact Speaking,
Mhm.
and that's on Instagram and on Facebook. And then you can click on the website from there, and that's creativeimpactgroup.org. And so, through there, you can actually, there's actually speaking, it can personal development, and it's also event services on there too.
Okay.
So yeah, all of that, all the good things. So I'm excited. Yeah, and I was really excited to have this conversation. It was such a good one when we began. So I'm glad we were able to.
Yes, we had that synergy, and now that I've even talked to you, you've had the mindset. That's what it was from the beginning. There was some mindset things that we had in common that just came out right now.
Oh yeah.
That was really powerful. I loved how you started off. That makes you approachable. That humility is that gift to where bring down people's barriers, their walls, and then I can see how somebody can open up with you. Now, I do want to ask you: with your services, is it like a term, like 6 months, 3 months,
It
or is
doesn't
it
have to
just
be.
one? Okay,
Yeah. There's different programs
okay,
that you can
okay,
get into. It can be one offs or it could be long term.
okay.
So it depends on the person and what they need to do.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Ms. Hunt,
Yeah.
for coming on here. We want to definitely have you on here again. And man, you're talking about setting up events. I think I want to do some events, and I want to have you see how you can help
Okay.
us with some events,
I'm here for
going
it.
from some business minds events. So,
Sounds
okay,
good.
great. So give the website one more. I mean, the social one more time.
Yeah. So it's Creative Impact Speaking.
Okay.
That's for Instagram and for Facebook. And then the website is creativeimpactgroup.org.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
once
you for
again.
having
And
me.
We're going to have you again. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'll be here.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.